In the year 2000, biologists conducting a routine population survey on Santa Cruz Island, off the coast of Southern California, discovered something that made the lead researcher physically ill. The island fox population had collapsed from more than 1,300 healthy adults to fewer than 100 in just 4 years. On neighboring San Miguel Island, 60 miles off the coast of Santa Barbara, the situation was even worse: 15 foxes. The entire population of a subspecies found nowhere else on the planet had been reduced to 15 animals, clinging to survival on a windswept island surrounded by open ocean. The Channel Islands fox is the smallest canid in North America and one of the most geographically restricted mammals on Earth. Adults weigh roughly 5 pounds, about the size of an average house cat. 6 genetically distinct subspecies evolved independently on 6 of the 8 Channel Islands, each isolated by miles of deep ocean water, each adapted to the specific conditions of its own island over thousands of years of separation. They had lived on these islands for at least 7,000 years, evolving without any natural predators and developing a fearlessness toward larger animals that would eventually become their greatest vulnerability. The catastrophe began with golden eagles. Before the 1990s, golden eagles had never established permanent breeding territories on the northern Channel Islands. The islands had been defended for centuries by bald eagles, which are fiercely territorial toward other large raptors and primarily eat fish rather than land mammals. But DDT contamination in the waters of the Santa Barbara Channel during the 1950s and 1960s had destroyed the bald eagle population on the islands completely. Without bald eagles to drive them away, golden eagles began crossing from the mainland and settling on the islands permanently for the first time in recorded ecological history. The golden eagles found a prey base waiting for them. Feral pigs, descendants of domestic livestock brought to the islands by ranchers in the 19th century, had been breeding unchecked for over 100 years. The pig population provided a year-round food source that sustained a growing number of golden eagle breeding pairs on the islands. But golden eagles are opportunistic predators. When they encountered island foxes foraging in the open grasslands, they killed them with devastating speed and efficiency. The foxes had never needed to fear the sky. For 7,000 years, nothing on the islands had attacked them from above. They foraged openly during broad daylight, slept in exposed hillside locations, and showed absolutely no evasive behavior when large shadows passed overhead. A 5-pound fox with no evolutionary experience of aerial predators was completely defenseless against a 10-pound golden eagle armed with talons specifically designed to kill animals many times the fox's size. The eagles killed foxes so efficiently and so fast that populations on 3 islands collapsed by more than 90% before biologists even understood what was causing the decline. The recovery plan that conservation biologists designed in response was the most complex and ambitious island restoration operation ever attempted in the United States. It required solving 3 interconnected problems simultaneously. First, remove the golden eagles from the islands. Second, eliminate the feral pig population that sustained them. Third, capture enough foxes and breed them in emergency captive programs to prevent total extinction while the first 2 problems were being solved. The National Park Service and the Nature Conservancy began trapping and relocating golden eagles from the northern Channel Islands in 1999. Each capture required biologists to set baited traps using rabbit carcasses, wait for days or sometimes weeks for an eagle to take the bait, and then carefully transport the captured bird by helicopter and boat to mainland territories far from the islands. The operation continued for 7 years and successfully removed 36 golden eagles. Not a single eagle was killed during the entire program. Simultaneously, professional wildlife control specialists contracted by the Nature Conservancy launched a campaign to eradicate every feral pig from Santa Cruz Island, the largest of the northern Channel Islands. The operation ran from 2005 to 2007 and required helicopter-based hunting teams, ground crews with trained tracking dogs, GPS-monitored trapping networks spread across the island's rugged terrain, and a final intensive sweep to locate the last surviving animals. More than 5,000 pigs were removed. The last confirmed pig was killed in 2007. It was one of the largest and most successful island eradication projects in the history of global conservation. While the golden eagles were being relocated and the pigs were being eradicated, biologists raced to save the foxes themselves. On the 3 most endangered islands, all surviving foxes were captured and placed into emergency, captive breeding enclosures constructed in the field. On San Miguel Island, all 15 remaining foxes entered the breeding program. The animals responded immediately. Females produced litters within the first breeding season. Pups were raised with minimal human contact using careful husbandry protocols and released back onto the islands as soon as they were old enough to forage and survive independently. The results were extraordinary. The San Miguel Island fox population grew from 15 individuals to more than 500 in less than a decade. On Santa Cruz Island, the population rebounded from fewer than 100 to more than 2,000. On Santa Rosa Island, numbers increased from fewer than 30 to more than 1,200. The growth rates were the fastest ever recorded for any endangered mammal recovery program in the United States. In 2016, 4 subspecies of Channel Islands fox were simultaneously removed from the federal endangered species list. They had gone from initial listing to full delisting faster than any mammal in the 50-year history of the Endangered Species Act. The entire cycle, from crisis to recovery, took less than 20 years. The final piece of the recovery puzzle was restoring the ecological balance that had protected foxes for millennia. Beginning in 2002, the Institute for Wildlife Studies released 61 captive-bred bald eagles on the northern Channel Islands. The bald eagles established breeding territories, began nesting successfully, and created the same territorial barrier against golden eagles that had existed naturally for thousands of years before DDT removed it. The Channel Islands fox recovery cost approximately $20 million across all agencies and organizations involved. It required the simultaneous removal of 2 invasive species, an emergency captive breeding program executed under extreme time pressure on remote islands with no infrastructure, and the strategic reintroduction of a 3rd species to provide permanent ecological protection. Every element had to succeed. Every element did. A fox that stood on the edge of extinction with just 15 survivors is now thriving across 6 islands in numbers that exceed its pre-collapse population levels.